Hey Photo World, welcome back to another episode here on TakeandTalkPics.com. This is another episode from the former podcast. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join the email list. Let's get to that 1,000 subscriber marker so that way I can add a new video every single week. Enjoy. Welcome Photo World to Take and Talk Pics. This is episode 9. Hey Photo World, head over to takeandtalkpics.com where you'll have an opportunity to win an iTunes gift card. Just enter your name and email and hit the subscribe button and you will be automatically entered for our weekly drawing for that iTunes gift card. Good luck.
They hate wedding. They hate photography. It's so funny. I had someone who's like do 2 weddings. I was like, wow, it's just crazy.
They did weddings wrong.
Yeah.
Today's featured guest is Kenny Peng. Kenny is a documentary-trained photographer in New York City, with 8 years as a photojournalist covering New York, New Jersey, and D.C. Kenny has found himself pursuing and growing a successful studio with a current focus in weddings, engagements, and portraiture. Kenny, welcome to Take and Talk Pics.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me on your podcast, and I'm really excited to talk today.
For sure. I've given a very brief overview about you, but share with us, a little introduction and a little bit about your business.
Basically, I'm a wedding portrait photographer based in New York City. Been doing it coming up 11 years now. Before that, I was a newspaper photographer for about 6 years and 2 years as a freelance. I'm still going.
You've seen it all.
You know what? I kind of seen it all, but you know what? It's the thing about wedding and photography. There's no end. There's no end to it. There's always something new to it.
Very good. I agree with that. Kenny, just to get things in order for our interview here and the questions, I love stories. I love being right there, learning about the good times and the bad, and just kind of getting it broken down to a specific instance where things happen. So share with us stories along the way, and we'll be right there with your journey. But before we get into all that, let's start off with a little inspiration. Get the wheels turning. Get Photo World a little bit inspired.
Yeah.
I like to do this with a quote or a mantra. Is there something that you live by on a day-to-day basis?
I follow my mantra would be passion. You need to have passion in anything, but definitely in photography, you need passion for it. I've seen a lot of people who kind of lose passion for it and then just kind of drop out. So you really need that. I feel like for longevity, just to keep going, you need that passion in you.
Find your passion, follow your passion.
Yeah.
So, very good. Kenny, you're doing the weddings now, a lot of engagements, portraiture, and man, I'm looking at the work and it's beautiful, and Photo World will have the link in the show notes page to come and take a look. It's gorgeous, but it started before that. I mean, that wasn't the beginning of your photography career. Can you share with us the story or the time that interest was sparked enough to actually start a photography career?
Sure. It's been actually a long progression. I guess for me, how I started was definitely from my dad. Definitely influenced by my dad, who, for photography, for him was a hobby, and I kind of got influenced by that. It's a long progression, and then I just started high school yearbook, and then college newspaper work, and then just going out and freelancing, and then getting that staff photography job at a newspaper. So it's been a long progression to where I am right now.
And that's a really good thing just to remind Photo World, like I don't really believe that there's any get rich quick overnight kind of thing. And especially in photography,
Bob, thank you for saying that. It's so true. I think if you pursue, I'm not saying money's not important. Definitely not. But if you go in there just for that, you will lose interest really quick, especially in wedding. I've seen that a lot with my colleagues. People who I've started with are just not there anymore, just doing something else or whatnot. It's hard work. I hope people realize that. Yeah. People think, I always hear people say, oh, it's just picture taking. It's not. It's physically, mentally, it's very hard work.
I bet you'd agree with me. I find it, I focus mostly on weddings as well. when I'm doing a wedding, it doesn't matter if it's a small garden wedding for 4 hours. It doesn't matter if it's a long 3-day wedding, doing 12 hours more a day. You put your energy for the time you have into it fully. So if it's a 4-hour wedding, you feel completely drained mentally and physically. And, by the end of it, you just put everything you got into it and you feel exactly the same after a 12-hour day.
Okay,
it's a weird feeling that you can get that from both of them.
Yeah.
And they're so different.
I agree with you 100% because I always feel like you need to approach anything similar, not just because it's, because I do a lot of elopements too, from people coming to New York City just to elope at City Hall or Central Park. And you're talking about 2 people and they're fishing it. And I always approach that, similar to, like you said, like if it was a big wedding, you really need to approach it similar. And it's a lot, it's because you don't want to fail. I always feel like I don't want to fail.
Right.
I have this like nervousness to it. Like I don't want to fail, so you're right. I do approach every wedding very similarly. It doesn't depend on the size of it.
Well, to that end, and you did it better than I could, bringing us to this next question here. Can you share with a time where, you did fail? You learned the hard way. You had to go through that, down to realize where to go next to bring it back. Is there a moment or a story you can share with us where it just didn't work out? You had a failure moment. We know now that you're better for it, but bring us to that time.
I think wedding-wise, just not, going to a meeting the clients and feeling really good about them and connecting. And not getting the wedding, them going with someone else. And it kind of like really like hit me hard. But I always feel like I learned something from it. Maybe it was not a right fit. It could have been money, but I always feel like I learned from that, not the weddings that I book, but the ones that I don't book.
Man, I can relate to that. I hope Photo World can relate to that. Or at least understand it, that it does exist. And it's so hard. For me personally, I'll say it's so hard to not make it personal because it feels like it,
Yes, definitely. There's been meetings where I meet this client and I really connect. I mean, we're talking about an hour, 2-hour meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just like we're all friends. And then, I hear back from them that they decide to go with someone else. It's really like, shock. Now, I wouldn't say shocking, but like kind of, let down. You're right.
Right.
But I did learn not to take it personally now.
Right.
So
yeah. Because you go home at the end of the day and you're like, okay, that portion, when it happens that way, that's me running a business and that's all it is. It's business.
Yeah.
And you got to treat it that way or else you can't sleep, you know? You got to...
Exactly.
Because you make these friends and then all of a sudden it's ripped away.
Yeah. Just got to move on. It's so
There's another wedding, that's just what it is. There's another one. I like that and I think it's very relatable, very personable there. It's just so appropriate. When we're talking about our photography, whether you're out there doing landscapes or whether you're doing commercial work or like you and I were doing weddings, we have our workflow. There's a process from start to finish, from getting that initial contact all the way to delivering images and then further whatever, your workflow is. Is there one thing, one piece in your workflow per job, whatever, that always is there? It stands out. It's a very high priority.
Rob, this is something very underrated that I really tell this to everyone if they ask me about, is scouting. I really like to scout locations before the wedding. Doesn't have to be 2 hours. Just kind of like just go around the venue, take a look where I'm going to do pictures. It makes it so much easier, less stressful. Another thing I would say, if I can add, is equipment-wise, simplify. Mm-hmm. I see that a lot with other photographers where they come to the weddings with like 2-3 bags. Yeah. and they never use like 80% of the equipment. So I used to actually have that problem myself. Last 2-3 years, I really simplified the equipment. I only bring things that I really will use.
Right.
And, backup equipment. But I really try to simplify it, especially with lightings.
Absolutely. Get down to the part where you don't need somebody else to carry it. You could actually go and do it on your own and handle the doors and handle the elevator and just be able to do that and be mobile because you might be getting on a party bus or in a limo and you got to be quick to jump in and out with gear.
Exactly.
So I really
especially in
like
New York
that.
City. Like I like to take my equipment I know people think it's crazy, but sometimes it's the best form of transportation. I take the subway to weddings, and I want to be very mobile, like just carry it in my backpack and maybe one bag with light stands, and that's it. You know, I want to move around.
Yeah.
So I don't want to carry like 2, 3 bags with me.
To that end, a really good thing is if you create those parameters, this is the gear I use, these are the lenses, these are the cameras, this is the lighting option I have.
Yes.
You're going to do your most amazing effort with that gear, and you're going to get better and you're going to master it. So next time it's better and you're mastering it. So
I agree.
It's beautiful.
Yes, Rob, I agree with you 100%. I do believe when you simplify the equipment, you will become a better photographer. I see this a lot with my fellow photographers. Sometimes I'll help someone out as a second or whatnot, and they bring all this equipment and they can't decide what to use.
Yeah.
And they're spending like 10 minutes thinking about it. Like, what should I use? This lighting, this lens? Simplify it. Like you said, you'll know what to use and whatnot. So
yeah, if you don't know what you're using going into it, then you got to practice.
Yes.
Get your systems. Well, Kenny, we have a wide range of photographers listening. Can you share with Photo World one thing that you believe would lead to growth and success regardless of their current level?
I'm going to say networking is very key in this business. And it's not just with other photographers. I think you really need to network with like other vendors and stuff. Because this business is very people oriented. You really need to get comfortable in front of people. You know,
Absolutely.
this is not an introverted job. You really need to go out there and just kind of network. It's very, very important, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, no, I love that. Networking is key in most business success.
Yes.
You know, not just photography, but, you know, if you talk to high-ranking CEOs and entrepreneurs who are making it, you know, they're going to tell you, meet people, get out there, go to the conferences, talk, educate yourself by learning from others, network. I mean, that's all it is.
It's so true. You really do learn from other people. So it's good to go out there just to talk too, you know, about the business and stuff.
Yeah. And Photo World, you're doing it today. You got 30 minutes with Rob Kruger and Kenny Peng. So, you know, you're here, you're networking, you're hearing our side of the story, and I really love it. And, you know, thank you for being here with Take and Talk Pics. So it's a good start. Kenny, when you're going through your career, whether you were doing the newspaper staff job, you're doing your freelancing, and now you're doing the weddings, we kind of get these moments. They stick out, they shine, they tell us something. And I like to call that the aha moment. Can you recall a time when you had that thing just hit you and it was, yes, this is what I need to do next. This is the aha moment.
I don't think I had an aha moment. I feel like I'm never really satisfied. I don't think like I'm never like happy with what I accomplish. I always feel like I need to get better. You know, I feel like I don't want to be complacent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like I really don't feel like I made it or like I'm satisfied. I really feel like I can do better. That's my feeling. I mean, even for every job, every wedding, like if I feel like I did a really good job, I'm never really satisfied.
Right.
I don't know why. I'm always looking for the next wedding to do better. So
I can totally relate to that. And I hope Photo World does too, where you get out there. And it's not that it's on a satisfaction where you're disappointed in what you did. It's knowing in the back of your mind that, all right, I still have somewhere else to go. I have somewhere else to grow.
Yes.
And that's just going to be to the next best thing. And then you can look back and go, you know, hey, you know, I'd appreciate that image in a different way now. Not that it was bad or I was full of myself and loving that image to begin with or something, but I appreciate it differently because of what I know now. And maybe that is the aha moment, that it's kind of a fluctuating throughout your career, that it's not a moment, it's a span of learning.
Yes. It's definitely a marathon. It's not a sprint. I feel like, I just like, I'll look back and say, okay, that was a really good picture, but I need to do something better than that. I feel like I don't want to be too happy, because if I'm too comfortable or too happy, I might get complacent and just do same stuff again, and I might burn out.
Right. And it's just not time yet, you know? So, Kenny, can you share with Photo World maybe a time or the time that you kind of felt that, hey, I made it as a photographer, or maybe it's like, this is where I have that that name under my belt that I am a photographer. I made it to where I want to be and what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep going forward with it.
You know, probably for a lot of photographers, it was probably that first wedding. When a client actually paid you money to shoot the wedding, I think that was, but you know, going back, I really don't want to be satisfied with where I am.
Right.
I feel like going back, like there's really never an end to it. Like you can always get better. There's no mountaintop. You're always climbing, you know. You always climb to that top, but you'll never reach the top. Right. So, but it's the process of getting there. So I'm never really, like I said, there was really never made it. I don't feel like I made it, you know, even though I've been doing this for about 11 years. I still feel like I can do better.
That's good. And I think it helps drive your passion then, you know?
Yes. Just going back to it, I have to say, I do love weddings. People think I'm really weird because I get a lot of people, even from fellow wedding photographers, like, are you crazy? I really like it. I really like the process of it and just the flow of the day. That's why when I came from newspaper photography to weddings, I felt it was a really good match, just the flow of it.
Well, and for anybody listening, Photo World, I know we got tons of variety out there, you know, of what you do or what you'd like to be pursuing or maybe expanding into. I myself do weddings. Kenny does weddings, at least the majority of the time. And when you're going out there and trying to learn and grow in your industry, you kind of have to realize all the components that go with it. And for me with weddings, it's not that I love wedding photography. It's that I love wedding people. I love the clients. I love the day. Yes. Because a wedding... Yes. Back in the day, you know, even towards the end of film's big hold over everyone, and man, I love film, but I don't have time for it. But, you know, when people were still shooting film, weddings had such tradition, and they were very stock and standard. And now with digital, we can be a little bit more unique. Maybe it's not, you know, I don't want to bash film. You know, all of those who had done it for so many years and, you know, those who still incorporate film, you know, kudos. I love it, you know. The digital age, and maybe it's just the media age and the social media age, has brought us to a time where I want to make this my own. I want it to be this way. I want to be interesting. I want to be different. And that creates an excitement for me personally. It makes my job less routine. I get a different wedding every time. Yeah, it's a wedding, but man, they change it up. And I just love that.
You hit a lot of good points. By the way, that first wedding was shot with film. I remember it was film, and it was... because when I came from the newspaper background, you know, we were kind of film-based. So that first wedding was a film. But you're right. I think also with digital now, a lot of my clients are very educated in photography just because of Instagram and iPhone and all this stuff.
Right.
People are very knowledgeable of photography now,
Absolutely.
Which I kind of like, because I think when people see people's work, they kind of sense, they get an idea what they like. So which is very important.
Yeah, and that has good and bad parts to it. I get it all the time, and I'm sure you do. Oh, can we do this picture that I saw on Pinterest? The answer is absolutely not. Because you don't want that picture. You want your wedding day. You want your venue. You want your groom or, you know, bride, you know. You want to have your day. You don't want to have their day. So let's get away from that. Let's make it about you, and let's embrace what we have going on. You know, like let's take on that. I love that. Let's make something new instead of that, you know. So it's hard to set people out of their ways of the Pinterest research. No problem with Pinterest. It's a great resource, and it does some amazing things for people, but you know, it's a good example at the time here.
Yes, I agree 100%. On that point, if a client asks me to do something, here's my point of view. I will do it, but I don't show the work. You would be surprised. I get a lot of people asking me, can we do, you know, that jumping shot where everyone jumps up in there? Yeah. I think that used to be really popular. I don't know if people do it anymore.
Right.
But I still get it occasionally. I never initiate that pose or whatnot. Mm-hmm. I'll never say, let's do that. But if they tell me they want to do it, I will do it, but I don't show it. Does that make sense?
It really comes down to how much they're drinking by then, you know?
It's so true. Alcohol does play a factor.
Not with us, just Photo World, be sure. You're not the one.
Yeah.
But no, I totally understand that. And, you get it sometimes. It's, it's a bridesmaid. Oh, let's do the jump shot. And then the bride looks at her like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And you're like, let's do this. Let's do something else.
Yeah, exactly. I don't force things to my clients. I'll suggest it, but if they don't feel comfortable, they don't want to do it, then I'll just move on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's no hard feelings. You just, hey,
exactly.
That might not be you. That's fine. Let's go.
I mean, I have my style, but it's not set in stone.
Right.
Like I will never say no to my clients because I really try to keep it lightheaded and not really like strict and say, oh, that's not my style. Because you know what? So it's funny because you can kind of do the cliche shot, but sometimes you could do it in your style too.
Right.
So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but
I'm very similar where, the answer is yes. It's your wedding day. If you want this, let's go for it. Let's do it. The reason or the good thing behind it is they went and they hired you, Kenny, so they looked at your work, they loved your style, and you're going to naturally do your thing with it anyways.
That's very important I always ask my clients, like, you have to be, forget the price and whatnot. Do you like the pictures that you see? Because this is sort of the pictures that I'm going to deliver. I always ask that at meetings, and a lot of my clients, will say yes. But yeah, I mean, that's important. They have to love the pictures.
I'm sorry. I feel like I kind of took us on a tangent there. So Photo World, thank you for sticking with us. And I'll get us back on track here, Kenny. But, I just think that side conversation where we were just going back and forth, especially since we're pretty defined in our industry and very relatable to one another, it's just a lot of value being swapped back and forth here. And I think that's really good. Some great takeaways. So it wasn't a damaging thing by any means. Kenny, can you recall a time throughout your photography career that you had received advice? And can you boil it down to the best advice you have ever received?
Definitely have a business plan. It's about pictures, but I feel like you really need a business plan. What's your goals and where do you want to go? Having a website and whatnot, that's important, yes, but you really need to have a goal. Mm-hmm. Another thing I think it's sort of in that question is, and a lot of people got caught, especially myself too, a lot of my colleagues who I started with, is social media as a marketing tool and whatnot. Really get a handle of that. I think it's so fast now. Everything's so fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like it moves so fast. I think a lot of people just got caught, with their pants down on this. So, and they're trying to catch up to it, which, I myself was really like shocked how fast Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook and all that stuff, Twitter, is very important now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, do not take it as a joke. I really believe that's important to your business.
I like to look at my Facebook and Twitter and go, you know what? I have a life on my own, but nobody cares. So I'm going to use this for my business. I'm going to talk about the things that people might care about. So I'll admit it first. I'm not good at this and I'm trying, so you just got to get better. And I mean, Facebook is the blog that everybody reads, and blogging is a great marketing strategy.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who just kind of just stop blogging and just do Facebook and all that Instagram, and they just feel like that's blogging. And it's amazing. I do get people that see this work with social media from not just from New York, but from around the world. I get like a lot of emails and stuff. So
very cool.
Yeah. It's definitely get a handle of that.
To that end, and where we kind of started there with the advice you received of having a business plan, I think maybe this is going to be a great pairing in our next question here. And it's more of a scenario. Kenny, if you had to start your photography all over, I'm going to be nice here and I'm going to say you have the same gear and the same knowledge that you have today, but you wake up tomorrow and there is no business. You don't have a photography website. You don't have a business in place. What is the first thing you do to begin your new business?
Good question. I would say maybe second shoot with other photographers, and not just someone who is similar style, but definitely just get a range of style of photography and learn from that. Because I'm always learning from other people too,
Yeah.
Not what I might do similar, but what I might not do. their approach. I might do it differently. So definitely go out there, maybe second shoot, or maybe just kind of watch. It's key. I think get out of, especially for weddings, I think taking workshops and stuff is really cool and important. But you really need to get out there and see a wedding, like a real wedding, and shoot it. Because classroom and then the real thing is so different, things happen and whatnot.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, there's a huge difference. I would totally agree that little notion of second shooting or assisting. Don't exactly only go into it to see what you can learn from them. Learn what you wouldn't do in their position,
yes.
Get the takeaways on both sides. Oh, I could implement that. Ooh, I would not do that.
Yes.
But know what you would do differently so that way you can well-round your style, your shape, your business.
Yes.
So,
and I think I have become a better wedding photographer that way. Because when I left the newspaper business and went into wedding, I actually started as a second photographer for a couple of photographers. Because, I knew photography-wise, but I didn't really know wedding photography.
Right.
So I learned a lot from those photographers, just the way they approach things and how they interact with their clients and things like that. I feel like that's really important. I think people should do that. It should be a requirement. Maybe like an education, informal education. Seriously. Because I see a lot of photographers now who, if I hire them for a second, it's like they have a website, they have equipment, but they don't really know the business, like how to approach things.
Right.
And I can tell like they didn't have experience in shooting enough weddings. I think 2 years, maybe a year, shooting weddings should be a requirement.
I have students. I teach at a community college locally here in the suburbs of Chicago. It's College of DuPage. I was hired on specifically to see if implementing a wedding class would be of any priority for the program. So we're doing our test run the summer of 2015 here, and
cool.
Going to start that out and see what kind of traction it builds, and then we'll deal with the big process of making it official as part of the program and the curriculum. But I plan on telling those students this summer, and I've been dropping it with my students along the way here, these other courses I'm teaching, that if you want to get into wedding photography without shooting weddings, second shooting or assisting, it's really easy. Just go and learn every other style of photography, master it, and then you'll have the tools for wedding photography.
Yeah.
So you need to know studio lighting on the spot. You have to know portraiture and fashion and photojournalism. You have to get it down so that way you can reach in your back pocket, grab that tool for this scenario. The formals may be boring, but the formals are the images they're going to look back on 35 years from now and go, I'm so glad we have that picture of that family group.
I agree with you 100% on that. That is so important. You hit it right. That's why I love weddings. You really need to learn how to do details. You have to be a documentary photographer. You have to be a portraiture photographer. You really have to do everything, in my opinion, to become a really good wedding photographer. And you're right. And going on that formal stuff, it's so true. It is very boring. Mm-hmm. It's that's the picture a lot of the parents will buy and whatnot. So, and you're right. Down the road, maybe 20 years from now, they really will appreciate those pictures.
Right.
So,
it's hard to think about what to do in that day and then also think about what they're going to look back on, because the music will stop, the flowers will, droop a little bit, the dress will start to fade, but the pictures are there,
Yeah.
And that's the importance of photography and wedding photography.
Yeah.
Especially.
It's so funny because I'm editing my old work because I'm updating my website. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at weddings 8 years ago, and I'm just a photographer. And it still gives me emotional from that wedding. Wow, I remember that. And I'm not even family. I'm just a photographer. And that's, can you imagine for them to look at it? It's cliche, but it's true. It's so true. I mean, if you hear stories about when there's fires, at people's home, mm-hmm. They save the wedding pictures. Or the album, they bring out the pictures. They don't bring out anything else. They save the pictures.
Right. Or if they couldn't get to anything, the
only
only thing
funny.
You'll hear them on the news, or something, just go, we lost all the pictures. And then that's where they start.
Yeah.
It's because they didn't lose pictures. They lost all the actual documented memories.
Yeah.
So, and now it's just left up to them to remember all of it. You wear many hats and you have to deliver on all, banging on all cylinders. So.
Yes. And also it's a lot of solving problems too, I believe. It
Hmm.
just on the day of the wedding is just you're solving problems. That's what you're lighting and someone's late. It's a lot of solved problem. That's
Yeah.
why I feel like it's very important for photographers who want to get into the business to actually you really need to shoot weddings, a lot of weddings, just so you know how to handle when problems arises.
Luck favors the prepared.
Yes, yes. Oh, that's
So
so important.
there you have it. Kenny, do you have an app or an internet resource that you think Photo World could benefit from knowing about?
Wedding wise, I like the Fundy album design. I'm plugging it, but it's so true. If you make albums, I love it. It's just amazing program for me. I used to design albums, and it was just a chore. It was so hard. Fundy album design, the version 6, the latest version, it's just incredible.
Very
It's
cool.
actually fun to make albums now. So I really like that software a lot.
Awesome. Well, Photo World knows this. We'll have these links and other links to Kenny's work and otherwise, where you can find it on takingtalkpics.com. Just search in there Kenny, and it'll bring you up to a show notes page, and you'll have the links to these and the Fundy album designer, and we'll have that information available to you. So take a look. Kenny, what is one piece of gear that you could just not live without?
I'm getting more into using my strobes, my flashes, small speed lights.
Mm-hmm.
It's so incredible now with these little flashes, the light it produces. So I'm gonna say my lights now, my strobe speed lights.
I loved when I discovered what you could do with lighting artificially, and mixing it.
Yes.
And I've kind of come up with a little saying. If you want a better camera and not pay the better camera price, get lights.
Yes. Here's the thing too. I hear this a lot. It's so true. It's like, oh, I'm a natural light photographer. That's really nice. I prefer natural light, but it's very important for a photographer to know how to use your flash. You might never use it. There will be situation where you might be able, you will need to use it, and it's so important to know how to use it.
Right.
I prefer natural light myself, but there are times where I really need to use the flash.
Yeah, I
And
feel like
it's so key to know how to use it.
if it's available, see what the natural light's given you and, make a decision of if that's the way to go or if you need to complement it in some way with artificial lighting. Or you're in that situation where, okay, I'm just not going to get the sky intact and them in the shade here.
Yes.
So blast them with light and have both
Yes.
work out and give it that dramatic lighting, but,
Yeah.
make it happen. Get it in camera,
Yes.
So,
Rob, it's incredible. Like, I know a lot of photographers, they do not know how to use their flash.
right.
Definitely learn it. Learn TTL, learn how to use it manual, learn ambient light. It's so important. And you'll become a better photographer too.
Yeah.
You might never use it. You might become just a natural light photographer.
Right.
I don't know how you just a natural light photographer in the East Coast, by the way. Maybe if I was in, Southern California or in Hawaii where the light is beautiful.
Right.
If you're in the East Coast, you gotta know how to use flash. It's just dark churches and stuff like that.
Before we wrap up here, Kenny, just a few more things. Could you please share with Photo World one parting piece of guidance and the best way we can reach and follow you, some sort of social media, and then we'll say goodbye.
Sure, they could see my recent work on Facebook, Kenny Pang Photography, and then just my portfolio at kennypang.com.
So again, Photo World will have these links on the show notes page at takingtalkpics.com, so be sure to check it out there and follow along and like his page on Facebook so you can see the new stuff coming. And Kenny, do you have a parting piece of guidance to share with Photo World?
Yeah, just follow your passion. I mean, if you really love photography and wedding, pursue it, Just see where it gets you. I love weddings. I mean, I really believe you gotta love it. You gotta love whatever you're doing to keep going.
And there's a great book out there. It's not photography based, but it's business based, I feel. And the title says it all. Do the work.
Yes, there is. You mentioned that in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
There is no shortcuts.
Right.
Please don't take the shortcut.
I mean, you can try it, but you'll find out just like we did, it doesn't exist. So, because we've all tried it.
It's a long process. You should enjoy it.
Yeah,
It's always a learning process.
absolutely. And that's a good way to wrap this up and finish it. It's a learning process, Photo World. Kenny, I cannot thank you enough for your time today and sharing such great value. Photo World thanks you, and happy shooting.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for having me on your show.
Photo World, I just had a blast with that interview, and I hope you did too. Got a lot of inspiration and great information. But we all get that creative block at times. Well, here at Taking Talk Pics, we found a way for you to get that creativity back. Head over to takingtalkpics.com, go to the affiliates page, and then you're going to use the free Vault Photography link. This is going to bring you to a handful of awesome new products that can help you make those game-changing images happen for your portfolio. That's not all, Photo World. We've also worked on an exclusive deal for you from Free Vault Photography products. Enter Take and Talk 15 at checkout for a 15% savings on your next purchase. That's Take and Talk 15.